Hello, my name is Andy Wilson from the Merseyside Skeptics Society. Thanks for coming along to Skeptics in the Pub online. Skeptics in the Pub are groups of people who meet in many towns around the country to hear interesting talks and discuss ideas of science, critical thinking, and pseudoscience. And this is an online version of those meetings, which came about thanks to COVID. All together now, thanks COVID. Which closed the pubs where we normally meet and forced us blinking into the brilliant light of your computer display screen. We have hosted a number of these now, and you can find most of them at the SITP Online YouTube channel. If you like what you're doing, drop us a few quid, whatever you feel like, and we'll keep doing it. If you can't afford a few quid, that's okay. You're still welcome here. Why not subscribe and like some of our stuff on YouTube? There are 19 talks on there already. Mormonism, cancer, sex, the lot. And hit the bell there too. Apparently that's important because you get notifications. It all helps. If you can support us financially, you can do so at paypal.me/SITP online. So what is a skeptic? It's a good question, and I'm glad it was on your mind. Skeptics are interested in knowing the most reliable version of the truth when faced with a claim of some kind. We're typically quite curious, and if we hear or read something that contradicts existing beliefs or seems extraordinary in some way, we simply don't take anyone's word for it, even if they're really charismatic and convincing, like Marsh. We use a version of the scientific method to sift the facts from the fluff. There's a bit of activism in there and also a bit of consumer protection in there as well. Our next speaker is Dr. Susie Gage. She'll be talking about, say, why to drugs. And I can tell you that will be fantastic. But don't take my word for it, right? Tonight will be a little different to usual. It's not just one person giving you a talk. It's me, and I am not alone. Tonight you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, count them with me, 5 people in total. And it's not really a talk either. So welcome to Inkredulous, episode 49. Tonight, broadcasting live with Skeptics in the Pub online. World, make some... Oh, that's not going to work, is it? Not quite the same as having a live audience in front of you, but we will press on. Inkredulous is a satirical panel show from the Merseyside Skeptics Society. It's my absolute pleasure to host this lockdown liturgy of loquacious laugh lines. We have assembled an international panel of incredulous veterans for tonight. So without further ado, let's meet the panel. Eli.
Hello!
Never misses a beat.
Slick, mate.
It was so good. He was like, and remember, you're going to go first. And I was like, got it. And he was like, let's meet the panel. And I was like, I'm coming up soon. It will be my time. I'm Eli Bosnick of the Scathing Atheist, the Skepticrat, God-Awful Movies, and D&D-Minus, reporting from, as you can see behind me, America. Just all of it since 2016. Where the dumpster fire is on fire. And I'm pleased to be on this, the 49th episode of Inkredulous, because now we have all the signs of the apocalypse, murder hornets, plague, and a new episode of Inkredulous.
Thanks, Eli.
Right, well, I'm Kat, and I've got to say it is great to be here. I would say I'm flattered to have been invited, but I'm part of the Skeptics online organising team, so I know exactly how many people had to say no before you invited me.
That's not true.
That said, it is still pretty exciting to be on what I think is the 3rd most popular podcast put on by the Merseyside Skeptics Society, even if it is just as the token woman.
Oh, dear. That's Marsh's role. With his boyish good looks. Gio.
Hi, I'm George Robb from the Geologic Podcast. I've also been at QED a couple times just to hang out with you fine folks. And most important, I am Andy Wilson's before picture.
Fantastic.
So tick-tock, tick-tock.
And
I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. Thanks for inviting me.
Cool, you're welcome.
And I'm Michael Marshall. I'm the project director of the Good Thinking Society. I'm the president of the Merseyside Skeptics Society. And despite what a series of increasingly libelous websites proclaim about me, I did not start coronavirus in order to retain Skeptic of the Year. And I will be finding out whoever keeps making those websites, and I will be suing them, Eli. Andy, I also want to say, I'm surprised you didn't play the Inkredulous theme tune. Although that said, I know YouTube are pretty hot on copyright infringement, so I guess you didn't want the whole thing taken down.
Keep it on the
So
down
we'll
low.
we're all humming it in our heads.
Keep
It's
it on the
fine. It's all
down
yeah. Legally, that's as much as we can do on this on this broadcast.
So I would remind my panel it is illegal to Google during Inkredulous, but tonight it is also illegal to read the comments section in the Twitch feed. You are in the dark, people. Now, we have 3 rounds for you tonight. Round 1 will take us to our break, and then we'll jam-pack the second section with an entire 2 more rounds. And there's going to be a little bit of stuff for you, audience, in the interval as well. We begin tonight in time-honoured fashion with Topical Tales. Eli, who is happy that President Trump has gone quiet about hydroxychloroquine and bleach?
That would be a whole bunch of doctors, and I imagined Lysol's legal department, Andy. So here's the story. For those of you in the audience who aren't familiar, Donald Trump has spent the pandemic fudging the numbers, promoting unsafe and untested treatments like hydroxychloroquine, and homicidally suggesting his followers inject themselves with some sunlight and bleach, because if England is moving back in with your parents while you sort yourself out, America is never leaving your parents because you can focus on your audition for Strictly Come Dancing. So the good news is he's left such childhood ideas as hydroxychloroquine behind, and he's now excited about an experimental new botanical extract called oleandrin, introduced to him by America's foremost theocratic pillow salesman, Mike Lindell, because if Boris Johnson is a James Bond villain, Donald Trump is an Austin Powers villain. By the way, for the younger members of our audience, Austin Powers is a documentary about what Andy was like before he was married. So you can look at it. Interesting. Make sure you check it out. It's also hard to explain Mike Lindell if you aren't already familiar with him. Suffice it to say, here in the United States, it makes us long for the grace of the time the slap chop guy got his tongue bit off by a hooker. Anyway, Lindell recently took a financial stake in Phoenix Biotechnology, the company that develops oleandrin, and he arranged for an Oval Office meeting. According to Axios, present were Andrew Whitney, Phoenix's vice chairman, the president of the United States, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development Ben Carson, and at least one lawyer, and also, briefly, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Notably absent from the meeting was Stephen Hahn, the head of the FDA, which studies and approves medical treatments in the United States, because if England is the makeup of the House of Lords, America is the plot of Game of Thrones. Now, for the record, Axios News did inquire why the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development was promoting an unproven botanical extract to cure COVID-19, to which a Carson representative responded with a statement that said, this is a real quote, "To suggest that Secretary Carson, who is a world-renowned expert in the medical field, shouldn't be involved is not only absurd, but is unhelpful in our collective fight to eradicate the pandemic," end quote, end statement. That's worth noting that Ben Carson was a pediatric neurosurgeon, so saying he's a world-renowned expert in the medical field is a little like saying I should get a crack at mixing Beyonce's next CD because I own a microphone.
I would buy it. I would buy it, like, no question.
Thank you. Andy wants to see my WAP. So
I think I've seen it before, to be honest.
You have. That's why do you think I keep coming back to QED? For your yearly fix. So Phoenix Biotechnology is considering 2 paths to bring oleandrin to market. Of course, they'd like to see it approved as a COVID-19 drug, which would require it to pass a series of clinical trials and safety measures. But Boo nerd, am I right? So Andrew Whitney has said he's also pushing the FDA to allow oleandrin to be sold off the shelf as a dietary supplement, which would mean while they couldn't make claims on their packaging about curing COVID-19, they could bring the product to market immediately. Because if England is the NHS paying for homeopathy, America is replacing the NHS with a swimming pool with an aspirin in the deep end. Now, Whitney has claimed that oleandrin cures COVID-19 in 2 days, saying, quote, "Now, there are all sorts of lawyers who would tell me I can't say things like that because, you need to have years of study and you need to have this, that, and the other, and so forth. But as an American with a right of free expression, I'm telling you, I've seen it with my own eyes." End real quote. He's also referenced a July 2020 study from the University of Texas at Galveston, which showed in a laboratory setting, oleandrin can inhibit the coronavirus in monkey kidney cells. Though, for the record, so can a shotgun. However, there is one problem with this study. Not only has it not been peer-reviewed, one of the authors of the study, Robert Newman, is chairman of Phoenix Biotechnology's Scientific Advisory Board, because if England is the people who claim to see an alien, America is the people who claim to be an alien. And that's where we stand. Trump's pillow-hawking theological buddy arranges pitch meetings for quack cures in the Oval Office, while Florida reopens the church of spitting into each other's mouths as quickly as it can. However, there is some good news. It looks like President Trump might cut out all the dilly-dallying and just send millions of doses of vaccine out into the American populace without phase 3 testing, because if you think England's response to COVID-19 is a little slower than you like, America's response is the Inkredulous release schedule.
Oh, we are so doomed. We are so doomed.
I know we are. Eli, that's the best one since I heard Inkredulous described as the pitch drop experiment of podcasting. So did you see Mike Lindell's interview with Anderson Cooper by any chance, Eli?
Yes.
How well, in your opinion, did Mike Lindell comport himself?
Well, look, if you're a terrible con man, that's one thing. But if you've made your entire fortune on selling a product called MyPillow and you still don't have an answer when the newsman asks you how you sleep at night, that's on you, my friend. That is on you.
I thought it was. I felt it was quite aggressive. The fact that he had a cross and he had it outside of his shirt here.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably because it was on camera. Very good guy.
He also wears it on the front of all the MyPillow packaging and on his late night commercials.
Oh, does he? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He's like a slightly more offensive version of Flavor Flav.
You can even see his little cross on his bobblehead, which you can also get at mypillow.com.
No.
And if you look really, really close, Jesus's head is on a MyPillow.
And there's a little speech bubble that says, "You know what? On the other side, it's not that bad."
Yeah.
And
Elohim, Elohim, it's so damn comfortable.
In the opinion of the great American public, Gio and Eli, do they really buy that shit? Do they really buy into what people like Mike Lindell say?
You take this one, Eli.
You mean about medicine or about pillows, just to be clear?
About the medicine. I mean, I saw him on Anderson Cooper, and I couldn't think for a minute why anybody would give him any credibility whatsoever.
Oh, Andy, you beautiful, beautiful summer child. America is like all of a country was just England's north. It's a fantastic place. It's like if Blackpool could be a state of mind here in the United States. This is a country where 25 minutes after the president asked aloud at a press conference if you could inject sunlight and disinfectant into the body, that Lysol had to put on the main page of their website, "Please don't drink our shit, guys. Please, we know what he said, but just a quick reminder, don't drink our shit."
Yeah, even at that point, I think even the Sun called its publicist just to be clear about whether it should put out a statement as well, warning people don't do this either.
Alrighty. I didn't realize until researching this story that he has a factory here in the UK as well. Do you know that? He proud made
I've
in
never
the
heard of these pillows. We don't have like pillow magnets here in this country. I don't know what it is about America, but here you can't become a millionaire by selling pillows. That just isn't a thing. So in many ways, it's the American dream, and it's a particularly comfortable dream, given that he's got such a good pillow to be on.
Very much, yeah.
I've got a little conspiracy theory about this, though, because I was looking at his website, and his pillows have a 10-year warranty.
Yes.
Kill all your customers. Quids in.
Oh, dear, I mean, you're very dark, Kat. That's the dark side of Kat, for sure. So, Kat, thank you, Eli. If I don't like bleach, what else could I drink to protect me from the Rona?
Well, Andy, if I can't entice you with a lovely, refreshing glass of sodium hypochlorite, maybe I can interest you in a nice shot of jizz.
Oh.
According to personal trainer and...
There's a hotline you can call at QED when someone says that kind of stuff. Sorry, guys. Richard Dawkins just released a blog defending what Kat just said to Andy and calling Andy a big whiner. Sorry, I'm following along.
Oh, God, I've just got a friend request off Lawrence Krauss. Well, anyway, according to personal trainer and spaff enthusiast Tracy Kiss, a healthy dose of man juice 3 times a week, taken orally, is the secret to an immune system strong enough to beat off any pathogen.
Hey!
Now, Tracy says that the greatest health benefit comes from drinking it as close to source as possible, perhaps straight from the tap. But due to the fact that she's in a long-distance relationship, she collects donations, as they're referred to, from her partner and keeps them in the freezer to mix at a later date into healthy smoothies. Now, you might be concerned. Like, she claims that she's been enjoying these spunky smoothies since about 2017, and that the cocky concoctions have been making a vas deferens to her health.
Did you say a vas deferens to her health? Cat Ford. Fantastic. Yeah.
Now, you might be concerned that lockdown could have affected her supply of penis potion, but worry not.
They just keep coming.
So does her boyfriend. Now, I was worried that lockdown would affect her access to the potion. But I've seen an online video of Tracy receiving a lovely cup of that wonderful stuff while still practicing social distancing. Her dutiful partner, who funnily enough wishes to remain anonymous, seems to leave a deposit in a small takeaway container, leaves it on her doorstep, then basically plays a very adult version of Knock-a-Door Dash.
How does she know it's his?
I did wonder that.
I'm just glad
it rhymes with his.
You got me there, Gio.
I'm glad there's a takeaway cup involved. When you said she was receiving it with a social distance, I assumed he was just like out of the bedroom window and she was down in the garden just waiting for it to manna from heaven.
Isn't that technically social distancing?
Wrong substance. You should see a doctor.
It's social distancing.
Distancing. Oh, much better, Marsh. Much better. 5 points for you there.
If it's in a takeaway cup, is it one of the ones that says "Thank you, come again" on the front? Because that feels apropos if it is.
It looked to be one of those smaller ones than that, kind of like the ones that you might get some chutney in.
Oh.
Vivid.
Lucky for him.
Wow. Of all of the things you've said, Kat, that one really hit me in the stomach, and I don't know why.
Strap in, I've got some more. That's what he said. Right, so one of the things that occurred to me when I saw the video of her receiving it in a socially distanced way is, by the time you're swallowing somebody's spunk, is there really much point in practicing social distancing? So I had a little look into the risk of catching COVID via semen. And there has been a very small scale study to see if the SARS-CoV-2 virus is present.
To be fair, it was very cold when they started the study. I just like
Yeah.
to defend them.
Well, it seems to have been a study of 38 men who had been hospitalized with the disease.
Oh, and they're just wanking in hospital.
Oh, wait. 4 of these men were tested during the acute stage of the disease.
Oh.
Now, it was found that out of these 38 men, 6 of them did have the virus present in their ejaculate. And I've got to say, fucking hats off to those men who managed to provide samples during the acute stages of the disease. That has
Forget
been
them.
some-
What about the nurses?
Maybe it was the cute stages of the disease. Maybe it was motivational.
Either way, that has been some heroic world-class fapping in the name of science done there. Right, one of the reasons that Tracy gives for using jizz as a supplement is that with traditional pharmaceuticals, the problem is you just don't know what's in them. You know, they're full of these compounds that are made in a highly controlled environment, whose ingredients are measured to an astonishing degree of accuracy, designed and researched by experts, tested repeatedly in randomized controlled trials. Those medicines that come with pamphlets listing the ingredients, possible side effects, recommended dosage, and location of manufacturer, versus jizz, which is made in a hairy, opaque sack. And I have gotten pretty close to a fair few pairs of bollocks in my time, and I have never once noticed a little ingredients list posted on the side, or even a helpful warning like, for the love of God, do not get contents in your eyes.
By the way, my stripper name is Harry Opaque Sack. Just so you know.
Now, I don't want to sound cynical, but I have had a little look at Tracy's social media presence, and it seems that she has a YouTube account where she regularly posts videos, a Twitter account, and least shockingly of all, an OnlyFans account. So I do a bit wonder whether this story is a bit of a PR stunt. That said, she has been expressing praise for the benefits of semen for some time now, so perhaps she is actually a dedicated jizz goblin. Either way, there is very little evidence that spunk is a good addition to anyone's diet. There are a lot of vitamins and minerals in it. So there's zinc, potassium, some vitamin C, some B12, but it is predominantly glucose to feed the sperm itself. And a standard splooge is only about 3 to 5 milliliters. So there isn't really a big enough dose to make any impact on your health there, but it does have the added risk of an STD. But all that said, Andy, if you still want to experiment with spunking up your diet, while Tracy recommends smoothies, I thought, given that you have your own bar, it might be nice to offer you some alcoholic recipes.
Oh,
And
okay.
if you'll allow me, I'll just go through 4 cocktails that I've thought of just for you.
Brilliant. Sounds great. Thank you.
Literal cocktails.
Recipe 1. Mix up light rum, cream of coconut, pineapple juice, a dash of lime juice, and some jizz, and you've got yourself a pinas colada. Combine bourbon, sweet vermouth, a dash of orange bitters, and some jizz, and you can put the man in Manhattan.
I've got almost all those ingredients.
Which one are you missing?
Go on.
Recipe 3. Mix together gin, Campari, sweet vermouth, and some jizz, and you put the grown in Negroni.
Ah, vermouth. That's disgusting.
This one I recommend for people who, like Tracy, don't see their supplier very regularly and have to keep their supply in the freezer. What you need to do is you combine vodka, white rum, tequila, gin, triple sec, simple syrup, some fresh lemon juice, cola, and some jizzy ice cubes, and you've got yourself a long-distance iced peen.
Oh, very nice.
Andy, it's up to you whether or not you decide to rim the glasses.
Oh,
And if none of these recipes appeal to you, you can always just shot it neat. To your health.
Yeah. Ooh.
Good work, Cats.
Did that come from a martini,
You want to?
or was it a mar medium?
Mancini.
You know, apparently she's raised a lot of funds on her Spraytreon page.
Oh, see, I only subscribe to the thing her boyfriend does, Only Faps. It's actually really nice. It's a really good platform.
Well, sadly, since breaking that story, she has actually broken up with her boyfriend. So I decided to look into how easy it is to get sperm delivered to your door. And you can.
I'm sorry?
For €700, you can have a vial of sperm sent to your house for self-impregnation. It's not available on Just Eat at the moment, but who knows?
I think when you say a vial, are you referring to how you feel about it or the method?
Bit of both.
Yeah. I think you've got to order it from Jizzed Eat. I think that's where you've got to order it from.
That'll be it.
I'm in the wrong business, man. 700 quid for a 3-ounce cocktail?
But it's got to be primo, George. It's got to be primo stuff.
Well, come on.
I mean, you're in
What's the problem
right now, aren't you? Yeah. And isn't it 10 cc the average dose?
I think
people say that 10 cc the name of the band came from.
Yeah, it's roughly a loving spoonful is roughly the amount.
Is that named after that as well?
As is Pearl Jam.
Oh my God, it's everywhere!
Oh,
It is everywhere.
Which
and the
makes it
band
even
Rush
more
too.
Oh dear. So Tracy Kiss has been garnering publicity in various forms since 2014. Who could forget her remarkable appearance on Naked Attraction in 2016? Since then, her glorious celebrity rise has been underpinned by a series of claims about drinking semen. In a video from May this year, Tracy says it improves her skin, fights depression, boosts the immune system. You are less likely to get ill if you drink a small amount of semen daily. There are no side effects, unlike that pesky modern medicine. It stops you getting ill. And interestingly, back in 2017, of course, she was talking about flu. Now it's all about COVID. And she actually says that coronavirus is similar to a cold or flu, implying that semen offers protection there too. Just to go back to one of your points from earlier, Kat, according to Tracy, how long is it safe, anybody, to keep fresh semen in the fridge without freezing it?
I didn't check.
Till his parents get home.
24 hours in the fridge. And you can still gulp it down like a shot after that. Tracy describes herself these days as a social influencer and helpfully chronicles her meteoric rise in 604 images on the homepage, uncatalogued, unindexed, just one great big scroll of images. I mean, at least put all the newspaper clips in one place, or maybe as a minimum, don't put the pretty girl rubs semen on her face video right next to the one entitled Tracy Kiss donates food to age concern one. I mean, mutually exclusive, but proximity alert, people. Also, help me out here.
I really hope she doesn't get her containers mixed up.
She says she can't eat eggs because she's vegan. Where does semen fit in with a vegan lifestyle?
I would say that's fine. I've been thinking about that.
Right, okay.
Not me then.
Of course I have. And yes, it is an animal product, but a lot of vegans, the problem that they have is about like enslaving animals and lack of consent, whereas hopefully jizz is coming from a consenting adult.
I was going to say.
The shot, I imagine, is going to go the other way pretty soon.
Yeah, if she's enslaved someone in order to farm jizz, it's not the veganism aspect of it that is the ethical concern, I don't think.
Well, I was thinking it's hardly a surprise that they broke up, because imagine you're in this long distance relationship, you go to see your partner after not seeing them for a while, and you're expecting this romantic night in, and you just get milked like a big jizzy man cow. Like, the spark is going to go pretty quick.
Do you think she uses one of those machines that they use in dairy farms? He just has to sort of stand there eating hay while it just works away at him.
Possibly. I was wondering whether maybe she just keeps an ice cube tray on her bedside table, just after. after she finishes.
Coincidentally, Big Jizzy Man Cow is my stripper name. So you can catch me and George double act next week at the YMCA.
Yes.
Please come out and support us.
Isn't
At
that
the
also the
poll.
latest website you've bought for Marsh?
It is momentarily.
Yeah, there's a break for a reason. God damn it.
Oh,
I'm trying to
gosh.
corner the vegan market, and I'm teaching chickens how to masturbate. That way, it's it's all consensual. It's all good. They're hard to train, but once they get into it, boy, the feathers start flying. Let me tell you.
You know what really gets chickens off? Cluck porn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huh?
Right. I don't know who has been revealed there, but I feel like somebody was revealed there. Might be me. Not sure what. Anyway, Geo,
Yes.
you cat. Geo, who is basking in the glory of God's caliber?
I got to say, Andy, this story is related to guns and weapons, and as an American, I think you
That's
sort of you've sloughed this story onto me with the guns, and there's this presupposition that America is just this sorry, Jesus, I'm sitting on a box and the box just broke. That doesn't. Oh my God. Let me. I think I can fix it though. Hold on. Let me just see. This idea that Americans have just this very easy use of guns is. I think it's a cliche, and we're very concerned about gun safety and using guns properly. I think that should do it. It's funny, that makes me thirsty, but the idea that we would just casually sort of use weapons in ways that they're not designed, I think it's a simple way to get a joke or to make someone feel uncomfortable. Whereas, oh gosh, I just noticed there's something in my teeth here. Hold on. Get there right there. I think I got it. I think I got most of it. I think I got most of it there. Yeah. There you go. Okay. Anyway, like I'm saying, the idea that we casually sort of are surrounded by handguns and that we're, I don't know, sort of inured to the danger that they may pose, especially when we use them improperly. I think it's just an. Okay. Full disclosure, these are all toys. These are all toys. These are all toys from my youth, back when you could buy very realistic and very scary looking weapons, but they're totally toys. They're totally toys. Anyway,
yes. These days in America, you can't buy a gun like that unless it's real. It's really easy to get them real. The fake ones you can't get.
I'm not thinking you can't have a toy gun unless you're white.
Well, yeah. Marsh, you were spot on. You can't buy a fake. It is way easier to buy a real gun than a fake prop gun. It's insane. It's insane.
Which is why your country is the background to Eli's camera right now.
Yeah, amongst many stories. Okay, so there's this thing called trigger discipline, and trigger discipline is this idea that if you are a gun owner and you are someone that uses a weapon, you're supposed to know how to handle it. And you're supposed to handle it with a certain amount of respect. And, you never put your finger on the trigger unless you're going to fire the weapon. You never point the weapon at something unless you are willing to shoot at that thing. It's kind of this is encouraged by gun owners. Well, there is a Facebook group which is called Loaded Guns Pointed at Benis. Yes. Benis. B is in brackets and ENIS. And what this is it is a group of individuals that proudly take photographs of them misusing weaponry and holding it improperly, so much so that they point weapons at their own crotches. Okay, they proudly point weapons at their own crotch with this idea of like, don't you tell me what I can or can't do. This is sort of this strange First Amendment idea. And so you literally have groups of people taking photographs of them pointing weapons at their crotch proudly. This group, like I said, is called Loaded Guns Pointed at Benis. The reason it's called Loaded Guns Pointed at Benis is because the Facebook algorithms won't allow a group with the word penis in it to be promoted as much. That's no good. Don't have the word penis. We can have photos of high caliber weapons pointed at crotches. That's fine, as long as you don't call it penis.
The group name's really confusing, though, because I keep thinking you mean the other group that I'm a part of, which is Loaded Guns Pointed at Venus, which is a load of people trying to shoot planets.
Fun fact about that group, the administrator for it, like the admin, is Charles Darwin.
So the thing is, not only does this thing exist, Loaded Guns Pointed at Venus, but one of these members, whilst he was posting, you can see where this is going, literally shot himself in the junk. As he was posting this, he wrote, "God's caliber went through my scrotum, mattress, box spring, and floor." Now, God's caliber is what they call a .45 automatic. It's kind of like similar to this fake gun that I have here. It's a God's caliber. They call it the .45 or the 1911. I always thought God's caliber was like 1 star, not recommended, or or like maybe the birth canal, but that's actually God's caliper. That's a different thing. But when the guy shot himself in the junk, apparently the reaction was so, what word do you think I would say next here? Positive, that the guy was made an admin of the group to show how proud they are. So they've been making memes with this guy. They made one meme where Obama is giving him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Luckily, he's putting it around his neck, not around. But again, they are praising him as this sort of Second Amendment hero. Which kind of makes sense because a couple that just drank bleach the other day also got the Presidential Medal of Freedom for real. So they also changed the photo that's the main background of the page to a picture of this guy pointing a loaded weapon at his crotch right before he was going to destroy his heritage, I guess. Now, the photo they replaced, which was equally dangerous, was a picture of someone trying to give Ritalin to Kanye West. So they're sort of, they were equally dangerous kind of a thing. But one of the admins wrote this, and I just love this quote: "We are sick and tired of being demonized as gun owners and looped together with the alt-right just for owning guns. We're sick of the NRA telling us what to do with our property. And we are sick of being told that just because we like guns, it means we have to be anti-woman, pro-life, and pro-Trump. We only hate our penises." This is kind of America encapsulated, I think, in a way. This idea of pride overcoming everything else, and I am in essence just without any more words for it.
Okay.
I suppose blowing your own bollocks off is a good way to prove that you are not pro-life.
Wasn't that a Russian spy?
Blowing
your own bollocks off.
Well, you weren't joking about Andy being Austin Powers. That is absolutely nailed on, Eli.
I googled alternatives to that particular video, and I encountered a video from 2014 called Ultimate Nutshot. Now, it's clear from the video he didn't actually shoot himself. It's a little bit of sleight of hand or ballsack or something. And I couldn't help but giggle at the comments, though, from the disappointed potential fans. So one fan called I Gargled Karate posted, "There is a serious lack of toasted testicles in the video. It's bullshit." To which I Bum Lover replied, "I second that statement. No blood or anything. At least Advent weed was on it with 'Dude, I got a bridge to sell you.'" Gio, what do you think is the overlap between these men pointing guns at their dicks because they're too sensitive about guns with people who don't wear face masks? It seems there might be something of an overlap there.
Oh, no question. I think there's definitely this pride before everything else, and the strange bifurcation of the brain, so that people that are totally happy using seat belts in their car or wearing shoes when they walk into a store don't want to wear a mask because freedom.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
God.
The only difference is when you don't wear a mask, it's a little like pointing a gun at your beepus while someone else is giving you a piggyback ride. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. But there's a thousand little freedoms that we kind of give up. You know, like there's paint in the road telling you which side you're supposed to be on. That's, if First Amendment, I'm just gonna drive because I'm American and I'm allowed to. There are thousands of little incremental steps that sort of allow society to exist on, some level. Yeah, I wouldn't hold this year up as an example, but on some level, historically, over the last grand or so, there's been a societal agreement that things work, and I am sure that most of these guys, until of course their mom gets sick or their girlfriend gets sick or their grandparents get sick, and then they start wearing the stuff and they're saying, oh yeah, now it makes sense. So it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment as a, not only as a human but as an American especially, because it's so prevalent.
Well, luckily in the UK we don't have problems like that, as you're going to discover from the next story.
Yeah. My real problem here, though, Andy, is that you've introduced Eli to the idea of testicular sleight of hand, which I think has given him ideas for the next God Awful Movies live show, or sleight of gland, as it were.
How do you think he managed to get his wife pregnant?
I think in a way, it's kind of a sweet story that this guy suffered this injury and like his friends kind of rallied around him to make him feel better, because it must feel terrible when your gonads become gonads.
Yes.
All right. With that, Marsh.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gio. Marsh, would you describe Brian Rose as a real thorn in the side of truth or a prick?
Oh, God, Andy. So, right. There's an old adage that when America sneezes, the UK catches a cold. And similarly, when America Alex Joneses, the UK catches a Brian Rose. For anyone not familiar with Brian Rose, he's a former banker turned self-help guru for confused would-be millionaires, basically. And he runs a YouTube channel called London Real. And, for a while, he was kind of content to have London Real peddling quasi-inspirational machismo disguised as self-improvement. It's think Joe Rogan, but without the intellectual rigor of Joe Rogan. That's the place he was aiming for. He's put out like 6,000 videos since 2011, and it's on stuff like Bitcoin and ayahuasca and the power of positive thinking and him interviewing UFC fighters. It's that kind of, macho bullshit. The kind of the video that of rich white guys stroking and occasionally choking on each other's egos. That's basically what videos are. But then like a year ago, he had Jordan Peterson on his show to lie about Canadian equality laws. And he started interviewing men's rights activists. He put out a video pushing the law of attraction, The Secret. He put out a video about how to heal yourself drinking piss. He had Rupert Sheldrake on the show a lot. So this is kind of where he was going. And then in March, he interviewed David Icke to get David Icke's thoughts about the coronavirus, which were, it's fair to say, characteristically bollocks. I talked about how 5G masts are sucking oxygen out of the air around old people's homes so that the government could kill old people because the government needed to put dead bodies in all the pop-up mortuaries that they'd built. And so the 5G was turned on so that they could fill the mortuaries that they built. He's got the entire direction of transit here wrong, basically. Batshit stuff. And obviously Rose didn't challenge any of it. And when that video got pulled off YouTube, as it was being viewed by thousands and thousands of people live, Rose decided to go all in on the free speech kind of train, And there's one fun note that I had to tell you about. In April, he declared a major free speech victory against LinkedIn. Because LinkedIn kicked him off the platform, and so he threw a tantrum, and so they let him back on again. And I am pretty sure he is the first person ever to fight hard to get onto LinkedIn. He's the only person I've ever heard of who even got LinkedIn to stop sending him 10 emails every single day. So, kudos to him on that. But after the Icke interview, he could smell that free speech money. So he interviewed Andrew Wakefield, purely in the name of free speech, obviously. And then that got taken down. And he interviewed Michael Shermer from the US Skeptic magazine so they could talk about how evil YouTube is for censoring Rose's videos, which again, of anti-vaxxers during a fucking pandemic, which, gotta say, such skepticism, Michael Shermer. You've nailed skepticism there. Brian Rose recently hosted the world premiere of the coronavirus conspiracy film Plandemic, purely in the name of free speech, of course. He realized, obviously, if you're going to show that video, you can't just do it on YouTube. It's going to be taken off. So he'd need his own digital platform that he could show videos on. So he had his army. He calls his followers an army. That's never worrying. He had his army raise $100,000 in May alone to create his own independent streaming platform where there would be no censorship at all.
Wow.
Apart from in the T's and C's, where he had a clause that said he had the right to remove any material that he deemed offensive or objectionable. But other than that, there's no censorship. Also, all right, to be fair, also, some of his followers did ask him why he needed to raise $100,000 to fund a website that he'd already made.
Oh, he already had it.
Yeah, he'd already made the website. He put out a video on the website saying, I need this website, so I need to raise like $100,000. So
it's a placebo fundraiser.
Excuse me, I'm just going to make some notes.
Obviously, in the face of those questions about why he needed the money, he did the decent, honest thing of deleting those questions and pretending they never happened. But other than that, no censorship at all, or at least not of Brian Rose. Anyway, so once he'd raised the money to make the website that he'd already made, he then had his followers raise a further $100,000 to air a video of David Icke he'd already recorded. So he had his platform, which is $100,000. He said, I need $100,000 to show this video that I've got. And he got it. And he argued, actually, it costed so much money to show it that he lost money doing it.
Why did he need $100,000 to show a video?
I'd argue, Andy, he didn't need it. He just
Andy, it's really hard to find a beta machine. It's really hard to find a working Betamax. You gotta like search far and wide. It's really.
He just wanted that money, just like he wanted the further $200,000 that he raised to air videos that he'd recorded with anti-vaxxers, Robert Kennedy, Judy Mikovits, Alex Jones, Sherry Tenpenny, all anti-vaxxers, purely in the name of free speech. As he repeatedly says, he may not agree with everything you have to say, but he will defend to the death his right to sell it. He then raised $200,000 more to add a decentralized blockchain ledger technology to his website so his videos could stay up. If you're wondering what that means, you're not alone. He's never told anybody. He's just trouted the cash. He raised a further $250,000 to create an app that you could use to watch the videos that were on his website. $500,000 to do that. He raised another, $250,000. He raised another $250,000 to bring a legal case against YouTube in the European Court of Human Rights because of the censorship of not letting a handful of his 6,000 videos stay on their platform. Right? He hasn't brought that legal case yet. We can only speculate as to why, but I'm guessing it's got something to do with the fact it's fucking nonsense. You can't have a go at YouTube for enforcing the terms and conditions of their own private platform. Now he's trying to raise $250,000 per month from his followers, his army, to carry on using the website he's got. You know, he's currently making $118,000 a month in August. This would probably be a really good time for the mods on the stream here to put the link to our PayPal account, because it turns out we're massively undercharging you people. We're massively undercharging you. Now, I want to speak to Brian. I assume Brian's watching this. He's big into YouTube. Let's go up on YouTube. Brian, mate. Saying, I may not agree with everything you have to say is not a get out of being an arsehole free card, right? For example, I once heard someone say that Brian Rose's commitment to free speech is actually a lie and a self-serving con, and that if he disagreed with them saying that, he should sue them for questioning his commitment to free speech. Now, I may not agree with everything they had to say, ... you know? And look, the thing is, I might be a romantic, you know, but for all of Rose's free speech grifting, I think he lacks a certain something, you know, a certain panache. Because you look at Alex Jones, right? Alex Jones has this purple-faced intensity, like he's perpetually just sat down too quickly and squashed his bollock between his thighs, but he can't do anything about that right now because he's in the middle of a custody hearing. That is where Alex Jones is, you know. He's got trapped testicle energy. And then you think of David Icke. David Icke has got stamina, right? His shows go on for hours and hours. He is like the Bruce Springsteen of crazy, in that he's been doing this thing forever. Way too many people your dad's age find him compelling, and it's a little bit scary when you see a 20-year-old listening to him. David Icke is also really creative as well, because when you listen to him speak, he is an absolute artist when it comes to finding plausibly deniable synonyms for Jew. He's incredible at it. He's limitless. And then think of another, Jim Cole. Let's have a look at Jim Cole, right? Another huge figure in the just asking stupid questions industry. And you can say what you like about Jim Cole, but you cannot deny that he has a series of redemptively attractive siblings. He's got that going from him. You can't take that away from him. Compared to them, Brian Rose is just such a fucking bore. You know, if you're saying he looks like the friend of your uncles who always squeezed your hand too tightly when you were a kid because he thought it asserted dominance. He looks like the amiable old chap from the sweet shop who is one day outed by the local news as having a basement full of Nazi memorabilia. He looks like what happens when your granddad got Freaky Friday with Tommy Robinson. That is what. But it's also boring. Yes, you're pushing a conspiracy theory that'll probably kill hundreds of people and harm thousands more. But is it too much to expect that you do it with a little bit of flair, a bit of panache? You're already playing this game on easy mode, Brian, because anybody can make money farming conservative outrage under the guise of free speech. Like, you only have to go onto YouTube and say, I identify as a attack helicopter, and bang, £10,000 will drop straight into Patreon just like that. It's easy. If you're willing to willfully misrepresent niche academic papers in fields like social studies, you'll have a book deal and a whole lecture tour arranged before you can even blink. There'll be Christian national groups queuing up around the block to give you money. So Rose's whole I'm the only true defender of free speech, so pay me $3 million a year shtick is just so crass. You know, it's like celebrating the Tour de France when you won it on a motorbike. It's not an accomplishment. You're playing on easy. So given that Brian Rose clearly wants to be the next disingenuous conspiracy bellend to ride the gravy train all the way to Griftsville, at the very least, he could add a bit of flair to his game. A top hat, a cape, maybe a fun hand puppet. Come on, Brian, put some creativity into the grift.
Fantastic. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Marsh. I can't believe this guy. I can't believe this guy.
I totally agree with your comments about the way he presents himself, because I looked on his website briefly and I was like, you're going to sell me timeshare.
Yeah.
I don't understand what these guys' obsession is with putting real and true in their title is, right? He's the Real London Broadcast, and then Rick Wiles has True News, and then there's Straight Talk with Dave Rubin. Anyways, check out my new Patreon. It's reallybigpenis.com. Unrelated.
I tried to look him up on Wikipedia, which is an information source that features articles on notable people. Not there. I did find him on YouTube as well, on TEDx Clapham. Yes.
Yeah.
TEDx Clapham. That's going to be particularly appealing to the UK audience. Possibly the least glamorous TEDx location I've found so far. Sorry, Clapham. He was bragging about his one-on-one interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson and his successful banking career and his martial arts and how jaded he was with sensationalized television. That's why he started Real, blah, 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 blah. I thought his presentation style was interesting. It's a type of style I used to aspire to, actually. Thoughtful stories, pauses, a moment of clarity, and then the payoff. All I see these days is a double glazing salesman from the 1970s. So I paused the video and I took a break, which is exactly what we're going to do in 60 seconds.
Oh,
hey! Thank you. Thank you. Now, we are going to have a break, but we don't want our audience sitting idle for these 15 minutes. No, we want you working like Brian Rose's army. Over here at Inkredulous HQ, my enormous team of imaginary friends spotted a story about Toby Young. He's a journalist who thinks COVID is a bit overblown. He has set up a dating site for people who also think COVID is overblown, where they can find love. It's called Love in a COVID Climate. So sweet. He's had a few posts in there. For example, 26-year-old conservative guy seeking non-Marxist Southwest UK. I didn't even realise the Southwest was Marxist. Anyway, he's settled on a better name for the site, dubbing it OK Stupid. So, in the break, we'd like to know what you would name your dating site for fans of any of your favourite pseudosciences. Go over to Slido. I imagine that the link is on screen now. Go over to sli.do, sli.do/OK OK Stupid, and you can where you can put your ideas, and you can also upvote your favourites from those which are already there. And when we and my amazing panel, they're going to think of some as well during the break. So when we get back, we'll hear from you because we'll read them out, and then you'll hear from them, and then we'll crack on. So thanks for watching so far. We're back in 15 minutes with rounds 2 and 3, in which we discuss sexful feelings. Sexful is a word, trust me. Soggy cereal and medical abuse. You don't want to miss it. Remember, next week, Dr. Susie Gage and her talk say why to drugs. And please throw us a few coppers at PayPal SITP online. We'll see you in 15 minutes, which will be 10 past. Bye-bye. Welcome back to round 2. But before we go to round 2, my oh my, you have been busy in the break. It seems we do indeed have an SITP online army. Stand strong, people. Stand strong. You can defeat them. So you've been coming up with ideas for dating sites for your favourite pseudosciences. And we've had 81 replies to that and many, many upvotes. I can't read them all, but I'm going to have a go at reading as many as I can. The winner at the moment is Gray, who suggested 5G Harmony. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, solid.
We have friend of the show, Sean Ellis, with allthepricks.com, my favourite acupuncture dating site.
Nice.
I absolutely adore this. I wish Anonymous had put their name on it, because this is Grifter. Grifter. Brilliant. Nicolette, her hydroxychloroquines. Andrew, dating for homeopaths, one molecule of fish in the sea.
Oh,
nice.
We've got She Make the Stuff, or She Maketh Stuff. She Maketh Stuff, who's put sugarpilldaddy.com. Nice.
Good.
Oh, this is, the positions are changing. This is my absolute favourite. Thank you. Also, She Maketh Stuff, 1023 and Me.
Oh, that's good.
Loving that. Loving your work.
Brilliant.
Anonymous has got astrology dating site, Written in the Stars. Andras Pinter has got 5G Spot. Okay. Garcia.
It's worrying that none of the blokes laughed at that one.
You just couldn't find the entry.
I don't believe that 5G Spot exists. That's the thing.
Tinsel for the lonely guy who can't get girls just because he's an awful person. Real girls not warranted. Okay. Alice. Oh, hello, Alice. How are you? Alice Ashton. I love this, Alice. Colloidal silver foxes and the women who love them.
Nice.
Loving that one. Lee Morrissey, Tinderfoil, Hat App. How many is that? Dave, gay dating site, homeopathy. Oh, homoopathy.
That works. Nice.
See what you did there, Dave? I'll just do a couple more. Will Eli have purchased the winning domain and redirected it to Marsh's website before the end of the show? I don't know. Eli?
Yes, I will. If you go to bigjizzymancow.com, you will see it redirects to Marsh's Wikipedia page.
Oh, why my Wikipedia page? Oh, like, that page does not get that many views, Eli. How many of them are coming from websites you set up to punk me?
So many.
All of them.
So many.
Go to your Wikipedia page, Marsh, if that weren't the rule. So, Spreader from Anonymous and for anti-vaxxers. I'll just do a couple.
Nice.
Okay, Cupping. Yeah.
Nice.
Sea Harmony, a homeopathic dating site. Mr. Sandwich, plenty of pish. Oh, I can't keep going. I have to stop. Well done, everyone. There's an honourable mention for plentyoffishing.com, spelt with a PH. Fishing.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Gio, what did you have?
I had a urine therapy dating site, which of course is P-Harmony, of course.
Nice.
Homeopathy site, which is plenty of nothing. And I figure instead of just all being for the pseudoscience, for fans of the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, we have J-Date.
Oh, nice.
Because it's the guy's name.
Yeah.
That's all I got. It's awful. I'm sorry. I'll go back to playing my guns.
Let's not do that, Gio. Let's not do that.
That's what a lot of blogs end up doing after going on dating websites.
It's true. Very true. Shooting blanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Marsh, what have you got there?
So I had the dating site for creationists, Plenty of Gish. I had Dwayne Gish, the creationist there.
Yes, yes.
I had a dating site for cryptozoologists. That's Sasquatch.com.
Okay.
And the dating site for conversion therapists, which is just Grinder, guys. Just
Yo!
admit it. It's Grindr.
I'm in the same one. Well done.
So across the ocean. Kat, what you got there?
Well, I've thought of a few as well. I've got Rapture Dating for people who are just desperate for a second coming. If you're interested, you might be able to get your head turned at sexyexorcism.com. Of course, there's always supernatural dating, where getting ghosted is a good thing.
Oh!
You can get your rod excited at dowsingformates.com. And placebo dating. Some people think it's as good as the real thing.
Hey!
But the problem with a lot of these sort of pseudoscience-y woo kind of dating websites, wouldn't you be worried about the astral rejection?
Yes. Eli, what have you got, mate?
All right. Well, I've got an American one for the COVID deniers. Coffee meets bagel. OUGH. It's an American dating. Trust me, I'm very funny. Two. I got another one. This is for the reptilians out there. IK Cupid. And then finally, for when you want something on the down low, maybe a little sugar mama action, doesn't matter what conspiracy she's into, seekingderangements.com.
I'm just going to mention one more, another honourable mention for Angel's Wine. And Angel's Wine has posted Carbon Dating, a service for the older generation. That's quite clever. Oh, thanks everybody. Say again.
Didn't you just bookmark that, Andy?
Thank you for getting involved. I'm going to read all of those later, and I'm sure everybody else was. Only scams. Very good, very good, very good. Okay, we'll leave those there. Oh, so horrified. I'm not reading them all out. Well done, everybody. Good work. Okay, we are going to carry on now with round 2, serial amusement. Gio.
Yes. Hit me.
In 1884, Lamarcus Adner Thompson was running a successful hosiery business, which included a machine he had invented to make seamless stockings. A very religious and conservative man, he became increasingly angry at the decline of society's morals. What did he decide to do about it? Is it 1? He sold his hosiery business and used the money to set up a stall in seedy Coney Island, where he sold candy floss at low prices from a machine he'd built himself and preached while serving it. A bit like a church running a soup kitchen. Or is it 2? He closed his hosiery business after a male customer revealed that seeing his wife in the hosiery made him feel sexful. He threw away the stocking machine, closed the business, and retreated into a life of prayer and reflection. 3 years later, he retrieved his machine and set right back up again, having somehow reconciled his issues. He then invented the candy floss machine and introduced it at the World's Fair in 1904, calling the product Fairy Floss. Or is it 3? He sold his hosiery business and invented an early roller coaster, which he built at seedy Coney Island, a thrill ride to suppress men's filthy urges. He chose Coney Island precisely because of its seedy reputation, as he thought those men were most in need of urge suppression. It turned out to be quite the successful gambit, with great commercial success, even though that was not the original intent. So, Geo, is it the candy floss to seedy customers while preaching on the side, the sexful break from business plus candy floss, or is it roller coaster salesman to tighten up those morals?
What was this gentleman's name? Do we know that? Did you say that?
I did. It is. That's not
smooth,
it.
Andy. Really smooth.
Sorry.
I don't normally go up the script. I usually go down.
Didn't mean to stump you. Sorry. I just, yeah.
All right. Lamarcus Adner Thompson.
All right. Well, we all know how sexy women's ankles are. I mean, that just goes sort of without saying. So anyone that's constructing some kind of fabric which is going to limit the visible area of anklage or a woman's delicate heel, we all know what's. Is that just me? That's just me. I think it's I actually think it's the middle one, because there's something familiar about the. No. Wait. I think the inventor of candy floss was a dentist. I think the inventor of candy floss was actually a dentist. Now that I've talked it out. So I think option 3 has no candy floss involved whatsoever. So I'm going to go with option 3.
Okay, you're going to say that he invented an early roller coaster which he built at Coney Island.
I hope that one is true so badly. It's just the first guy gets off. Oh, I'm just gonna. I think I might throw up. But you don't feel like fucking, right? Mission accomplished.
Well, Eli, which one would you have gone for?
Oh, I'm gonna go with sexful, because if there's anything a Christian will do, it'll give up the worldly pleasures and then come right back to them 3 years later when he runs out of money.
Okay, so you're into the fairy floss idea. Cool. Kat, which one would you have gone for?
Yeah, that's the one I would have gone for. Somebody going, do you know what? No, I'm gonna do something in line with my morals. No, I prefer money. I definitely prefer money.
And Marsh.
So I don't think he came back for the money. I think he came back having first gone away to contemplate his role in making men and women feel sexful, and after 3 years of really contemplating that, he came back and got right back into it. I don't think it was a money thing, but I don't think it's the roller coaster thing, because I don't believe that anyone could have imagined that anything that involves that much build-up, anticipation, and then ultimately a lot of going down would ever stop anybody succumbing to their urges. So I'm going to go for the first one about the candy floss in Coney Island.
Oh, well done, sir. Well done. Okay. So, I wonder what our incredulous audience think it is. Well, here's your answer, people. The answer is 3. He sold his well done, Gio. He sold his hosiery business and went all in on a design for an early roller coaster. In fact, he is thought of as the father of the roller coaster. His wasn't the first, but it was the first to be patented and installed at multiple locations. He had picked up on the entrepreneurial work of the Mauch-Chunk Switchback Railroad in Pennsylvania, Gio.
Ma-Chunk, yes.
How is it pronounced? Ma-Chunk.
Ma-Chunk, yeah, it's spelled Mauch-Chunk, but yeah, Ma-Chunk.
Right, well, the Switchboard Railroad there, all those years ago, back at the late 1800s, that was the original thing was a coal mining train, and the owners of the coal train realised that people got quite a thrill out of riding it. It was a gravity ride, so donkeys would haul it up to the top, and then they'd let it go down, and they'd charge a few cents, and everybody was happy. I think it's quite funny. Went down, they had to send the donkeys down with it, so that was right in there with you as well. I like that.
And the donkeys had lots of sex afterwards. That's the weird thing. They were talking like crazy, just legs up, ears forward. Yeah, it was fantastic. I've played gigs at the Ma-Chunk Opera House. It's a beautiful venue, Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, named after the Olympian. And then they have the Ma-Chunk Opera House. It's awesome. Cool. So, oh my gosh.
The weird thing about the opera house is you also have to sit with a donkey there as well. It's just become a whole theme for that whole area.
Yeah. It's two per cart basically in the theater, and you're just kind of going down the thing while the performance is happening. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, I could be the only one that thinks a switchback railroad sounds filthy.
Yeah.
You got to pay extra for that. Yeah, normally. Yeah.
Leave it to Pennsylvania, though, to be watching miners descend into the mines as you own their lives and their livelihood and thinking, they're having a lot of fun, right? That seems fun.
Coney Island. Coney Island.
Could we charge people to be miners in our mine? No, let me come up with something. But I'm close.
Leave it
Also,
with me.
Why was the roller coaster invented to try and prevent people from having sex? Why are all inventions in America about people not fucking and not wanking? Like cornflakes was invented to stop you wanking. Roller coasters to stop you fucking. Like America, it's fine. You can have sex. No one gets. You're all right. Just let it go. Just give in, guys.
Sex and wanking is different, though, Marsh.
Well, yes,
Just
but
in case
Not,
nobody's ever
not if you do it
explained
right, Kat. Not if you do it right.
It depends how long you've been in lockdown as well.
And if someone's sitting next to you on the roller coaster ride.
Yes.
How
Candy floss.
style your donkey is.
Candy floss or cotton candy or fairy floss was indeed invented by a dentist called William Morrison and also John C. Wharton, and they did market their invention at the World's Fair in 904 to great commercial success. Bonus question, who'd like to have a go at this for extra points? Why are the loops in roller coasters shaped like teardrops rather than circular loops?
That's for speed regulation. Otherwise you would it would accelerate out of the loop too much. I think you have to have a pause at the top so that it can facilitate the rest of the ride being timed correctly.
I was thinking it would be the other way around, is you'd lose acceleration because of the big curve. Whereas if it's teardrop shape, you've got a closer to vertical drop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So so still a timing thing.
Yeah.
You're both kind of correct, I'd say. The problem with a gravity roller coaster is there's an initial impetus or a drag up the hill or a push start of some kind, and then it's all about momentum and gravity. So careful balancing of forces is the trick. The problem with a loop is when you exit the loop. If it was circular, the G-force passengers would experience on the way out of it would be unbearable and too great. So this shape, this upside down teardrop, I don't know how to pronounce this correctly, but it's called a clothoid curve. And it makes for a smoother exit, George, which is what you said, with lower G as the train accelerates down from the apex, which is exactly opposite to what's desirable in a powered aircraft, where if you're doing a loop, the perfect circle is favored in that case if you want a smooth ride, because it's a powered vehicle. Very good, Gio.
Wow.
Extra points. Extra
Thank
points.
you.
Well done.
Pennsylvania question.
Roller coasters really run the gamut, don't they? Because you've got the physics that Andy just mentioned, and then once they've built the roller coaster, they're like, "Hey, can we get a teenager without any teeth to run this thing? Can we go up to Blackpool and find someone who looks like their sister is also their dad and just put him on that 8 hours a day, 7 days a week?"
Oh, fantastic. Okay, next question, Kat.
Okay.
I see Gio smiling in my future. Kat, the graham cracker is a sweet cracker which originated in the US in the early 1880s. The name is actually spelt Graham and is another example of Americans pronouncing everything wrongly. It is also a crucial ingredient in the culinary travesty known as a s'more. Graham crackers are made from graham flour, a coarsely ground, unsifted derivative of the whole grain. For the UK audience, they're like a thin, less sweet, digestive biscuit in an oblong shape. Which of the following origin stories is correct? Is it 1? Sylvester Graham invented the graham cracker as part of his own dietary regime. His beliefs about gut flora dictated that he should regularly imbibe saliva from other people, but he couldn't find a good way to do that, which he could live with every day.
Is there a good way to do that? Well,
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
He wasn't.
I was asking it.
There's a really, really good way to do it. What you do is you get them to put it in like a takeaway cup and then leave it on your doorstep and then knock on your door and run away.
And he wasn't much of a kisser. He found this particular recipe absorbed a small amount of liquid but would not become soggy. Or is it 2? Sylvester Graham was a religious zealot who was suspicious of sexual stimulation and believed masturbation was one of the most evil crimes that could be committed, and eating tasty food made you want to do it more. His diet was based on the premise of simple, plain food being milled and baked at home. Home-milled wheat resulted in a coarse, whole-grain flour, and breads and crackers were made from this. His ideas caught on and eventually became known as Grahamism. As a popular food fad, businesses caught on and began producing graham crackers made from graham flour, pronouncing it wrong and spreading anti-onanism to the masses. Or is it 3? Graham flour is the basis of a graham cracker. Sylvester Graham was intrigued by this flour which bore his name and decided to build an entire healthy eating regime around it. He was a charismatic public speaker, and his preaching often included references to his own diet, resulting in a dramatic rise in the popularity of graham flour. It is less well known that Sylvester Graham's appreciation for graham flour also extended to regularly bathing in a tin bath full of it. He had an outdoor area built specifically to this purpose. So, Kat.
I am slightly leaning towards the second option because of this horror of any sort of sexual fun. But at the same time, I reckon I'd put good money on me being able to eat an entire packet of graham crackers and still crack out a wank. That doesn't sound like a challenge.
There's 30 minutes left in the show, Kat, so whatever you want to do.
Well, if anybody out there has Amazon Prime.
Okay, so are you going for the saliva, or the masturbation, or for the he's just a really good preacher?
If I had a nickel for every time Andy asked me that question.
Do you want spit, wank, or a preach?
Yes!
I mean, I wish I'd said that.
I mean, I don't know about you, but a really good preacher, for me, always goes hand in hand with saliva and masturbation. It's just, you found my kink, Andy.
I had never had you pinned as a Catholic.
Yeah. Go on, Kat, which one? Make a decision.
I'm going with three.
You're going with, he was intrigued by the name of this flower which bore his name, and he was super popular as a public speaker, and everything arose from that. Okay, thank you. George, I think I know what you would have gone with. Eli, what would you go with?
Oh, I've got to go number 2. Can we take a break?
Take a break, yeah.
No, it's got to be an anti-masturbation thing because, look, you might be able to eat a graham cracker and then, jerk one out, but it is the least sexy of the possible cookies, right? If we're ranking all the cookies in fuckability, it's the cookie you want to fuck the least.
If you ever seen a jammy dodger, he's too happy.
That's an English slur or a cookie.
Eli, quick follow-up question. The obvious follow-up question: which of the cookies do you want to fuck the most?
Mars. Hello.
Tag along.
I'd go Oreo because it's got that lovely cream filling.
Okay.
Like sloppy seconds, I get it.
Marsh, what would you have gone with?
So, I mean, the first option about saliva and the biscuit wasn't getting soggy enough. If Andy's an expert in anything, it's soggy biscuits. So I don't think you'd have gone with that one. You'd have thought the third one would be ridiculous, that anybody could be such a good public speaker that anything they said, people would immediately rush out and do. But people have been injecting themselves with bleach. So I'm going to go with the third one because this is in America and there's precedent and president.
Okay. All right. So bring it home, Gio.
Number 2, baby, 100%. Yeah, it's again, Marsh, you knocked it in the last question. It's anything that can be invented by an American usually is invented to suppress some kind of urge. So yeah, Graham was notorious for making this what he perceived to be was a very sexually flattening kind of little cookie biscuit thing.
These people just don't try hard enough.
It's and
they lack tenacity if a biscuit will knock them off their stroke.
Well, literally. But he worked with Kellogg. Actually, he was a contemporary of Kellogg's who did the whole cornflakes because you don't want to have a breakfast where you have an erection anywhere close to it.
Quite
yeah,
the
from
slip.
my understanding.
It's quite the slip.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, it is only 3 o'clock for me, so
Excuse me,
so we're
Freud.
okay.
All right.
I like the
Well,
fact that Americans, every invention is about stopping you having sex, stopping you feeling sexy. You guys are the opposite French. Like, there is nothing the French have ever invented that wasn't about fucking.
Yeah. So that's why their most popular
very-
cereal is One Big O.
Yeah, or a massive baguette.
Yes.
Thing is, like,
Mark.
I'd be worried.
Oh.
Like, Kellogg was also into shoving yogurt up his arse. So if Kellogg, Mr.
enemas,
Graham
yeah.
Cracker, are all hanging out together, I would not want a yogurty granola pot at their house. I mean,
No.
no.
Oh.
Yeah, coffee enemas were a big deal. You know, the hardest part is getting the cream and sugar up there, but still, it was a big deal.
It's all technique, Gio. It's all technique.
Don't get to tell me, Andy. I've seen the film.
I mean,
Marsh.
don't give Eli ideas. His Starbucks order is already convoluted enough before giving it an additional way of serving.
The amount of friends that I've lost because they've asked me how'd you take your coffee, and I've said anally.
Marsh!
Yes, Andy. As he wrestles back on track.
As it turns out, Mr. Graham was not the only conservative, religious, anti-masturbation nut around that time. Inventor of Kellogg's cornflakes, John Harvey Kellogg, also believed, as is well known, that masturbation was evil. He wrote that masturbation is one of the vilest, the basest, and the most degrading acts that a human being can commit. One that even a loathsome reptile rolling in the slush and slime of its stagnant pool wouldn't dare undertake. So
if you do it right.
So which one of the following did he not advocate as a method of quelling masturbation?
Oh, God.
Okay. So you're looking for which one he didn't say. Is it 1, circumcision, ideally without anaesthetic? If for some reason that's not possible, the insertion of something ironically similar to a Prince Albert piercing, which would staple the foreskin to the shaft, making any erection into an immediate torture? Or is it 2, forcing them to masturbate in front of their parents and friends and making them continue to the inevitable conclusion? Or is it 3, electric shocks directly to the genitals and various other versions of genital mutilation? Or is it 4, binding or tying their hands in such a way that they were deprived access to their sensitive parts? So which one did he not promote? Is it the chopping, the wanking, the shocking, or the binding?
Right, well, I'm glad that I get the fun topic of child abuse to cover. What
You've
this
just got one
does
of those
teach
faces.
me. What this does teach me is that
Last in this episode.
this does definitely teach me you should never trust an American whose middle name is Harvey. Like, I think there is a 100%. I think there's a 100% incidence of Americans with middle name Harvey being dodgy. Now, I am 100% sure he was into circumcision. I'd say 70% sure that he wanted kids to wank off in front of their parents. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go with the electric. I think he didn't do the electric thing. I don't think he was so technologically advanced.
Okay, and various other versions of genital mutilation. Okay, thank you. Gio, where are you on
Oh, shit, I forgot that caveat. Okay, never mind.
Gio, where are you on this difficult decision?
Well, if 2 is true, don't go to the family reunion at Kellogg's house. I'm going to think that 2 is the fake one. I think he was such a horrible human on every level that even the idea of having any kind of pleasure at any point would be, even in front of your parents, would be anathema to his whole philosophy. So he's going to pin it, he's going to tie it, he's going to staple it, he's going to rip it out way before he's going to have his folks sitting, or one's folks sitting and watching it. So I say the second one, the masturbating in front of one's parents, like it's a bad thing, but that's the fake one.
You
Thank
do
you.
say if 2 is true, you don't want to go to the Kellogg's family reunion, but I bet they do a fantastic rendition of Kumbaya.
Eli,
Well,
where are you?
it's hard to play the guitar one-handed, so it's
Why do you think Jimi Hendrix used his teeth?
very good.
Eli, which one?
I'm going to go with number 2 as well, but there's 2 reasons. First of all, I've seen the top 5 trending videos on Pornhub, so I know that jerking off in front of your parents is not going to stop a lot of people. But the second thing is, I have a Jewish mother, so that would have backfired on Kellogg. She would have been like, "You're doing amazing, honey. You see that technique? Look at that wrist. That's my boy." And my father would be almost as disappointed as when I started doing musicals in high school. So it works out for everybody.
Oh, brilliant. And Kat, where are you?
See, I was thinking number 2 as well, because shortly after you masturbate in front of your parents as a bloke,
Well,
like
me.
your mum would see the benefits. Like since little Harry whacked off in front of me, my crow's feet are much better. We should make this
yeah.
weekly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the answer is the only one of those he didn't do was number 2.
Yay!
Points are spraying around all over the place tonight. Well done. Yeah, out of the way. Give your lens a wipe.
Whoa!
Yeah, Kellogg was an awful human being. He was a sort of protege of Graham. And he was heavily influenced by Graham and the abolitionist movement. He shared most of their ideas. I also
Protege of Graham sounds like the equivalent of friend of Dorothy's. Like it's him. He's a protege of Graham.
See, I was thinking Plato and Socrates, but horrifically shit.
I learned reading up that the early cornflakes were actually a little bit shit. They were hard and broke people's teeth, and they were completely without taste. Now, his brother wanted to add sugar and change the manufacturing process, but John Harvey Kellogg was having none of it. Does anybody on here know how this dispute was resolved?
Wanking contest in front of the
I
parents?
was just going to.
Over the cornflakes. Over the cornflakes.
Oh, and that's how you get frosted flakes.
Yes! That's what they mean when they say grab a tiger by the tail. All these years. Well, William Kellogg set up his own company selling his version of cornflakes, and those are the ones we enjoy today. Eli.
Yes.
Beloved American breakfast brand Quaker Oats, who produce that classic oatmeal breakfast for millions of people each year, carries the image of a Quaker in its branding. They say this image represents integrity, honesty, and purity, virtues espoused by the members of the Religious Society of Friends, the Quakers. Though the Oats Company make no claim to be Quakers themselves. Between 1946 and 1953, what did these purveyors of integrity, honesty, and purity do? Is it 1? They laced their oats with a weak psychostimulant. The idea was that this would exacerbate and reinforce the customer's connection between breakfast and the cheery Quaker image on the cans of oats, building brand loyalty. They were found out because an MIT student was classifying all breakfast cereals as part of an experiment and discovered an unexpected result in the chemical analysis. They had to pay a fine of $1.85 million. Or is it 2? In 1946, they discovered a flaw in their packaging, which meant the carton lining material would leach into the oats themselves when stored at temperatures above 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Given much of the US regularly experiences temperatures well in excess of that, and at that time few people had air conditioning, this was a major problem. The substance, once it had sublimated, invoked diarrhea and vomiting in about 30% of people. It took those 7 years between 1946 and 1953 to come up with an alternative, and they said nothing. A later class action lawsuit resulted in a $1.85 million settlement. Or is it 3? They funded a science club at the Fernald State School, previously known as the Massachusetts School for the Feeble-Minded. In return for joining the club, children got tickets for the Boston Red Sox, Mickey Mouse watches, and other perks. All they had to do was eat Quaker Oats laced with a radioactive tracer and endure regular injections of a radioactive calcium substance without anybody's knowledge or permission. A later class action lawsuit resulted in a $1.85 million settlement. So, Eli, is it the psychotic drugs, the vomit-inducing manufacturing process, or dosing up vulnerable children with radiation?
So I know it's not one, because if there's one thing I know about my homeland, it's that we do not give away drugs for free. Which means it's got to be either 2 or 3, and I'm leaning towards 2. And I'll tell you why. It's that 30% number, because there was a board meeting where one American turned to the other and he was like, 70% of the people who are eating this poison cardboard stuff are coming away just fine. We all get the shits occasionally, Dave. Let's work on this over the next, 2 presidential elections, and then we'll talk to people about it. So I'm going to go with number 2.
All right. Thank you, Eli. Gio.
Boy, there's something about the putting radiation into unsuspecting customers that is just so American, especially under the guise of a religious society. I'm going to actually go with 3. I'm going to go on a bit of a limb. I like your logic there, Eli, especially for the first one. But I think I'm going to go with 3, because it seems like something that the power of radium was so praised and sung as being this amazing panacea that I could see the Quakers trying to think they were actually doing something good, and being abused and used by the corporate entities there. So I'm going to say 3. Number 3.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Gio. Kat, what do you think?
Before I give my answer, I just want to say, this story really reminds me of a friend of mine. He used to have really bad anxiety, and it'd make his feet really sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
His solution to this was to put dry oats in his shoes, but you could still see him Quakering his boots.
Oh.
Fantastic.
I genuinely thought you were telling us a story there, Kat. I was right there with him, putting the oats in his boots, thinking about how porous
they are
and how much sweat would soak up.
Yeah. This level of gullibility is why it takes Andy so long to write Incredulous scripts.
Right, I've spent a month eating jizz and I feel no better. It's going on Incredulous.
Come on, Kat. What's your answer? What do you think?
No, I think radioactive breakfast giving people the shits, because although jizzing everywhere is bad, blowing stuff out your arse is good, according to some people.
All right. Have we done? Marsh, have you answered?
No, I haven't, but I don't think it was lacing your oats, because I think lacing your oats is what Kellogg was trying to stop you doing. I think if it was the radioactivity thing and it was kind of like, oh, radiation's amazing, they wouldn't be doing it secretly. I think they'd be like, yeah, we're injecting your kids with radiation. Come to the Quakers. We're fucking great. So I'm going to say it's the packaging thing, which, to be fair, vomiting, diarrhea, those are secondary concerns to the fact you're eating Quaker Oats. I mean, that bit's bad enough already. So I don't think anybody who's already in a place where they're voluntarily buying Quaker Oats, I don't think they'd even notice the fact that they're shitting and vomiting more often.
All right. So what's the answer? Incredulous audience, have you come up with your answer? Okay, well, here we go. The correct answer is 3, the radiation.
Wow.
Nice. Lying, my friend. In 1946, Quaker Oats were in stiff competition with a product called cream of wheat made from farina. Oats contain phytate, which might inhibit absorption of iron, whereas farina does not. And so on the all-important battleground of a healthy breakfast cereal, it looked like things were going the wrong way for Quaker. In response, they commissioned their own research into iron absorption on vulnerable youngsters at the school mentioned earlier. The research was carried out by MIT. The children found out 40 years later in 1993, and it cost Quaker Oats $1.85 million. Though the amounts of radiation were relatively small, the permission form sent to the parents, where they had parents, not all of them had parents, made no mention of it. I saw one estimate that equated the dose to about 40 X-rays, which it sounds like a lot to me. In the UK, oatmeal is known as porridge. It is most popular in Scotland. So a quick bonus question in relation to Scotland and porridge. for those all-important bonus points. For Brian Ego as well. What exactly is a golden Spurtle?
I reckon it'll be oats made with water and whiskey.
Oh,
Wow. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go oats made with iron brew because they love iron brew. They put it everywhere.
A
golden.
golden Spurtle's where the sheep's in front of you and the other the ewe is behind, and he's watching with a camera and he's filming, and then he posts it on a website that's based around. It's got a gold sort of barrier around it. That's what that is there.
Yeah. I think the website's called.
Cameraman Gio, is he an indestructible bastard?
Bastard, of course he is.
I think the website where you upload that sheep porn is called YouPorn, like
Right. Or just fuck you.
Oh,
That was the university I went to, by the way. That's how I got my degree at fuck you. EWE.
That's how everyone feels if they do a postgraduate degree. Got it, fuck you.
Brian Ego, I'm going to spend one moment just waiting for you to post whether you know or not in the Twitch feed. And if you don't know, I want you to tell the people of your homeland. Okay, that's your time up. It is the name of the trophy awarded to the world champion porridge maker at the annual championships held in Carbridge, way up in the north of Scotland. And that brings us to the end of round 2. Well done, everybody.
Great.
Oh. So we've got about 10 minutes left, and I reckon we can push through the final round because there's only one question in the final round.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we're going to do it a little bit differently, and it will carry a little more jeopardy than usual. It is
everyone reach under your seat and pull out your guns. George, not really. George, not really.
Because I really, if you want, I totally.
Thank you. No. And
Yeah.
if you don't get your guns, I will leave my machete in the cupboard. So it is multiple choice, but it's not multiple choice for all of you. I will read out the opening statement and then come to each of you in turn with one of the multiple choice answers. When it is your turn, you must give your analysis for the answer and declare whether it is true or false there and then. So the first person I come to will only hear one answer before declaring. The second person will have heard 2 answers, and whoever is lucky enough, brackets, definitely not Marsh, brackets, gets to hear all 4 of the clues before deciding whether theirs is true or false. Make sense? And then we'll wrap up at the end by seeing if you have changed your minds by the end. Also, if you're playing along at home, why not add true or false to the Twitch chat as we go along and see if you can beat the panel. Yeah, too dramatic. Okay, Albert C. Geezer created in 1905 the Cornell tube, named after the college with which he was associated. This tube was made of lead glass but had a small area of normal glass. The question is, what was it for? Cat. This human-sized tube allowed sun worshippers to regulate their tanning. It was becoming fashionable for well-to-do ladies at the time to have a tanned face and for the rest of their exposed skin to have a lighter tan. This device was installed at home for private use and the owner would slip inside. The lead glass attenuated the sun's rays more than the regular glass. In high society, some households would have a number of these tubes in order that the ladies could socialise while tanning. The downside and reason for its failure was that lead would leach with the sweating into the skin, causing lead poisoning. It was slow and took months for symptoms to arise, but they were profound. Hence the nickname puke tube. Cat, is that true or false?
What was the year again?
This was 1905.
I think 1905 was still in the era of port out, starboard home. to make sure you don't get a tan. So I'm going false.
You're going false. I'm going to make a note in my special true-false engine.
Is that a piece of paper, Andy?
That's what Andy calls his penis.
So, magic, Marsh. Okay, Marsh.
Yeah.
The tube was intended to target X-rays, which had been discovered in 1895. Giza knew that hair loss was associated with X-rays, and his idea was to direct those rays to areas of unwanted hair, typically for women. The downside wasn't that the lead glass didn't work. It was that they were unprotected by the regular glass, and that small, hairy area was exposed to regular doses of X-rays, regular high doses of X-rays. It got rid of the hair, but also caused all the other symptoms we would associate with radioactive exposure. Marsh, is that true or false?
On the first one that Kat had, I don't think that was true either, because I'm pretty sure puke tube is one of the bookmarks Eli goes to most regularly. So it's not
You know
that
what?
one.
Now I'm buying puke tube and I'm redirecting it to your Wikipedia page. There you go. Now I've got something to do until my question comes around.
See, I was actually thinking that one has a ring of truth to it because it's worked on 3 of you.
So, Marsh, true or false? Oh, Marsh, you have frozen.
He's pretending. He's just stalling.
He just wants to hear more options. He's a sneaky little bitch.
He's rushing to buy puke tube before I can.
Deleting his wiki page.
Are we getting Marsh back, mobs? Are we getting Marsh back?
While we wait for Marsh.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, he's there.
Oh, there he is.
Yay. There we go. Yeah, I'm going false.
You're going
I've been here the whole time saying false. You guys aren't listening to me. I'm being gaslit.
Give me a moment.
Now you know what it's like to be a woman.
I'm just entering your answer into my results engine. Okay. You've frozen again, Marsh, but nobody really cares. Eli.
Yes.
No, Geo.
Yes.
The tube was actually a sealed cylinder with a one-way hatch over the regular glass component. Giza claimed that sunlight could enter but could not escape. At least the tanning bit couldn't. The hatch over the regular glass could be moved to one side to receive tanning on demand after the tube had been in the garden. At your convenience, simply head over to the tube, move the lead glass hatch to one side, and the captured tanning properties of sunlight would escape onto your face. None of the pesky bright sunlight, of course, just the tanning bit. Of course, it was complete bullshit, and the company failed, but not before many customers had parted with their money. But it did lead to a crucial scientific breakthrough. Geo, is that true or false?
Oh, the gullibility of the American consumer can never be underestimated. But I am with Kat in that I don't think tanning in 1905 was an acquired thing, was a desirable thing. I would say it's such an American product to have something that captures sunlight to be used later. That's so great. That's so great because it's so wrong, and people would spend so much money on it. But I think the 1905 is just still, it's too early. So I'm going to say false.
Thank you, Gio. Okay.
Stick that in your engine.
You are in the engine, the all-important engine. And finally, Eli. It was actually the precursor to the cathode ray tube. A high enough electrical charge would result in a kaleidoscope-like light show inside the tube. Owning one of these was quite a feather in the cap in high society because they were really hard to manufacture, and any party was a guaranteed hit with a Cornell tube on display. We've only got time for true or false, Eli.
True.
True. The first true answer to go in the truth engine. Okay. And I'm going to finish us on time. At 9 o'clock, so I'll simply proceed to the answers. But I would like to tell you first, Giza was a fucking awful person. And the correct answer was number 2. He invented something that was designed for the cosmetic treatment of unwanted hair, and he burned and killed multiple victims in his 30-year reign.
I said it was clearly effective at removing hair.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to bring it to
Wow.
the end there.
On that incredibly high note, Andy.
Yeah. I'm going to bring the mood up by saying our winner today. Just one more. I'll have a word with the adjudicators. One sec.
Those are my parents.
There's never anyone there, and he talks to them all the time. He's got a real problem, honestly. We're worried for him.
Gio!
Oh my gosh. I don't even know what to say. Thank you.
You could say, I'm not going to make a speech because we haven't got time. That wraps it up for today. That brings us to the end. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for listening. Remember, it's Susie Gage next week talking about Say Why to Drugs. The Lock-ins Razor virtual Zoom pub will be up shortly, link in the Twitch feed. And for now, please thank my wonderful guests, Eli Bosnick, Kat Ford, Marsh, and George Crabb. We'll see you next time we play Inkredulous.
So in about 5 years then?
Bye now.
Bye, everyone. Goodbye.